And you mentioned the media bias. It's, of course, everywhere. Canada appears to be no exception. We were just having a look this morning. Here's a journalist from the CBC asking Conservative Pierre Poilievre if he would actually step aside and not compete.
Do you believe the government's promise of $155 billion in counter tariffs is enough? And what would you do differently to get the president to change course? And to clarify your last question, are you saying that you would step aside and not compete for the head of the country to allow us to get through this crisis? Or I'm unclear about your answer to the last question.
Well, I find it a strange question. Your CBC is asking me to step aside in the next election. It's a very strange request. No, we're not going to suspend democracy. The Canadian people run this country, and they will choose the next Prime Minister. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I want to get a bit more of your assessment of the media bias that just appears to be everywhere, even in Canada, and also the role that the media played in pushing this anti-Trump narrative. I suppose, what role did Donald Trump play in this election?
Oh, I believe that Donald Trump played a massive role. I mean, his chiding, his teasing us. He was teasing us. He was obviously teasing Trudeau. He didn't take him seriously at all if he's sitting there calling him the governor. You know, he was just sort of shaking the sheets of Canada that need to be shook, right? Basically, he started to threaten with the tariffs because he wanted us to clean up our borders because of fentanyl getting through. And he's absolutely right. We don't check our ports. We don't check our borders. We don't have the infrastructure in place or the manpower in place. And so a lot gets through. And in the media, they had said it's only 1%. It's only 1%. Well, it's only 1% that's caught. You know, we really need a lot more checks and balances. We have massive fentanyl drug labs up here. And so Trump was right. And so, but people started to take this as a complete attack on our sovereignty, what turned out just to be teasing from Trump. If you don't understand Trump, that he's a teaser, that he's having a bit of fun, and you lose your mind over it. That's a big problem. And the media absolutely propelled that because the media is so good at fear. We're so good at COVID fear, and we were so good at making Trump the big bad wolf. And Carney was going to come in and save the day. He was the only one that could save us from the big bad wolf. And then the thing is, he never went and talked to Trump. He still hasn't really spoken to Trump face to face.
Oh, look, well said. Before we move on from Mark Carney, here's a clip of him dancing at an after party following his election victory. Want to know what your thoughts are? He's not being elected because of his dance moves. He's being compared to failed vice presidential candidate Tim Walz there. What do you make of it?
Oh, well, what catches my attention is his wife, Diana Fox Carney, with her elbows up. That was their big thing. Get your elbows up. And it's like a cross between that and doing some sort of bizarre chicken dance. You know, it is very cringeworthy. I mean, I don't know if you saw, he came and did commercials with promos with Mike Myers. Get your elbows up, and that was their big thing. You know, fight, fight, fight. We've got a crisis. Everybody, and so everybody is doing this. You know, and it's utterly ridiculous. But I do feel very sad that Poilievre didn't make it in. I mean, it was a 2-horse race, and he was the horse that I wanted. You know, he was similar to Trump, but that he made sense. And because there was such a massive Canadian backlash to Trump, that kind of just sunk it for him. And it seemed out of his control. And of course, the media does not support him because Poilievre said, I will defund the CBC. The CBC gets $1.2 billion of Canadian tax money every year. They don't turn a profit. They don't even put comments open on their YouTube channel. They purport to report for Canadians, but they really step all over the face of Canadians, and they're completely biased. And Carney came around and he said, I'm going to not only give you that, but I'm going to give you $150 million more dollars, and I'm actually going to make it statutory that there can be no changes to CBC funding unless it passes Parliament. That's how much he is sucking up to CBC, and CBC, by golly, they wanted him to get in, and they did everything they could to just smear Pierre, which was totally unfortunate because a lot of us believe his campaign was from the heart, and we wanted change. Yeah.
Anita, finally, I just want to talk to you once again about climate change, seeing as Canada has a big focus on it. And this week's blackout across Spain and Portugal were caused by an outage on a grid mostly powered by wind and solar. Energy experts had been warning that Spain and Portugal's growing reliance on renewables left their grids vulnerable to major blackouts. I mean, were you surprised?
Oh, this is a crazy story. I think they changed their power grids, and I think it was between 50 or 80% went to this new renewable energy. And look what happened. People were in blackouts. People were stuck in elevators. You imagine you have a power outage in the hospital, and then the press, the media, once again released headlines saying, no, it's not likely that it was the renewable energy source. Well, what else was it? I mean, more testing has to be done. And this absolute fanaticism of not using oil and gas and traditional power resources is not working. And you can maybe use a bit of solar in Spain because they have a lot of sun. You cannot use solar in Canada. We just don't have enough sun for that. And to have ridiculous wind turbines going, it's a major environmental waste. But they don't sell it that way. And it's just so sad to see this immense blackout in Spain. It just must have been horrible for people.
Absolutely.
It's obviously not working.
No, absolutely not, and we're seeing that play out. But good luck, Canada. That's all I have to say. Broadcaster and commentator Anita Krishna, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Gabriella.